What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. Please do me a favor and hit that like button because that is the most important thing that you can do for me on this channel. By hitting that like button, you ensure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get their notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm. Secondly, if you haven't already, maybe you're new to the channel or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel, please do me a favor and do yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button, as well as hitting the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to inform everyone about this news and to help push this video through the YouTube algorithm. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And all I have to say is more money, more money, more money. And I think that we're going to be saying that for years to come concerning Biden's migrant crisis, because in the city of Chicago, we have hundreds of millions of dollars more falling out of the sky for Biden's migrants, while Chicago citizens, well, for them, not so much. So let's get into this article here first, and then we're going to jump straight into a news clip afterwards. So this article reads, Illinois to spend another $160 million on Chicago migrant crisis. Let's dive into this article. Now, it reads as such. The state of Illinois is spending another $160 million to provide shelter and services for migrants who arrive in Chicago in 2024. The governor's office announced the plan on Thursday after long-term planners determined an additional $321 million is needed to maintain shelter and services for migrants for the remainder of the year. In addition, Cook County taxpayers will kick in an additional $70 million for the joint funding plan, totaling $250 million. The funding is in addition to $478 million the state has spent since Chicago declared itself a sanctuary city from the U.S. immigration laws and attracted migrants who illegally crossed the U.S. southern border. The state says more than 35,000 migrants have been bused or flown to Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. In addition, Governor J.B. Pritzker will pledge an additional $182 million in his upcoming fiscal year 2025 budget proposal to the General Assembly. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of having a hard time keeping up with all this money. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars flying around everywhere in this article, and I can't really keep up. I mean, $182 million, $478 million, $250 million, an additional $70 million, $321 million, an additional $160 million. Hundreds of millions of dollars are falling out of the sky to house Biden's migrants. Wherefore, Chicago citizens, not so much so. Not so much so. As a matter of fact, you all have to wait for your money if it even comes. But we're going to get into that a little later when I go into the news clip. Now, let's read what J.B. Pritzker had to say. J.B. Pritzker stated, with thousands of asylum seekers continuing to come to Chicago in desperate need of support, and with Congress continuing to refuse to act, never mind the fact that Biden is refusing to close the border, which he literally could do now with the stroke of a pen if he wanted to legally. And the president of the United States has had that power since 1952, but I digress. I'll leave that for the live streams, right? Excuse me. And with Congress continuing to refuse to act, it is clear the state, county, and city will have to do more to keep people safe, said Pritzker. But is he doing more to keep Chicago citizens safe? That's the real question. Cook County has already committed more than $100 million of funding from its 2024 budget and will work to commit another $70 million, according to a press release. Like I stated, more money, more money, more money, or I should say, my apologies, more money, more money, more money. Now let's get into this news clip right here to help highlight what was discussed in this article. So I'm going to pull this up for you guys right now, and let's jump into this Fox News clip.
The immigrants can come into this country and get a stipend, link, a free room and board, free child care, and some of them are getting Social Security.
They shouldn't even be allowed in our neighborhood.
Angry people in Chicago as the migrant crisis is draining city resources, and moderate Democrats there are blaming progressives. They say Americans in need are the ones bearing the cost. Zerlina Smith Members is a victim services activist in Chicago. She's also running for the Cook County Board of Commissioners, so she's willing to step up to try to do something. Let me just show you here that the migrants shipped from Texas via bus or airplane to Chicago in the past year and a half, 35,393, so almost 36,000 people. And you have seen firsthand how it's having an effect?
Of course, they're in my community. I'm an Austin resident. They had them housed at our police station. When they decided to relocate them from our police station, which was the 15th district, they decided to start giving out more free housing expenses by bamboozling homeowners or commercial owners to let them move into their properties for a stipend. And once that stipend ran out, they're stuck with illegal immigrants running through our community that are living free, where we have a mass housing issue when it comes to Chicagoans.
Let's stop right there. There is a mass housing situation or problem, I should say, concerning Chicago citizens. Meanwhile, Biden's migrants are seeing money fall out the sky to house them. Let's stop there for a moment, because many of you all remember in my live stream, I've spoken on this multiple times over. What Brandon Johnson has proposed that he has done for Chicago citizens, particularly for Black Americans in Chicago, because he addressed them directly with this false notion that he's doing something for them. He made reference to a program called Bring Chicago Home. How many of you all remember the Bring Chicago Home program? If you do, please let me know in the comment section below, right? But this Bring Chicago Home program is something that isn't even in existence yet. It's not here. It's not something that anybody can make use of, because it still has to be voted for in the March primaries. So as it stands right now, hundreds of millions of dollars are falling out of the sky to house migrants in the city of Chicago. But as it pertains to the less fortunate and for the homeless citizens of Chicago, you have to wait for it to be voted on to determine whether or not you will get funds to house you. Are you hearing me? You have to wait for a vote to see whether or not a program will or will not even come into existence, while Biden's migrants are getting housed now. They're seeing the money now, but you have to wait to see whether or not you'll get anything. And I'm going to tell you, like I've stated in my live streams, if that passes in March, I'm guaranteeing you all that Bring Chicago Home program is going to largely fund the Biden crisis affecting Chicago. That is where that money is going to go, because there is no stipulation or amendment on the website that states that the Bring Chicago Home program, which is supposed to be a program that's going to house Chicago's homeless, there's nothing on there that states that it's for citizens only. No. The migrants will be able to double dip in between their own specific programs that are specifically for them that Chicago citizens can't dip into, but they will have that, and they will have the Bring Chicago Home program. And there is nothing in that program that states that they don't qualify for that, which tells me that Brandon Johnson will be using that to fund the migrant crisis in Chicago. So once again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but really let this settle in. Migrants are getting their money now. Chicago citizens have to wait. You have to wait. But now let's get back into this news clip.
The other thing I read that you said is that you don't blame Governor Abbott. Why?
No, I don't. I don't blame him, because he didn't ask for this problem. I commend him for what he's doing. He's dealt with it for long enough, and I do believe that if sanctuary cities want to be welcoming, they should have a plan in place. The city of Chicago nor New York had a real plan, and they got what they had been asking for years.
And as I recall, there was a city council meeting where there was a proposal to withdraw and end the sanctuary city designation. That failed. Do you think that it could possibly come up again?
I doubt it, because you don't have the mayor of the city of Chicago running the fifth floor. You have CTU, our Chicago's teacher union, and their progressive elected individuals sitting in our city council who are really not even from here or live in these communities that these migrants are being housed or shipped to.
And this is why local elections is so important. It's so important because even when you consider Biden's open borders, had you had the individuals in local office that you needed who would actually push back against this, then Chicago wouldn't even be a sanctuary city right now. And you wouldn't even be going through all of this in the city of Chicago. This stuff wouldn't be happening because you would have been able to push back against this by saying, hey, if you bring them here, we're going to cooperate with ICE to get them up out of here. That's not happening. But you can't do that because Chicago is a sanctuary city, right? So local office, local elections are extremely important.
You also said that the immigration crisis is going to flip the state of Illinois purple. Do you think there are enough people that you're talking to and in your community that are willing to not vote for Democrats this time around?
Of course. In my community, most of our people didn't even vote to elect this current mayor. And the sad part about it is I'm running for his last seat that he held before becoming mayor, which is the 1st District Cook County Commissioner seat. And those people didn't even vote for him. The rhetoric is that they want to tell us as Chicagoans that we are being taken care of. 1 to 4 children, the Crane magazine just posted that Black children and brown children who are born in the city of Chicago are going to bed hungry. But yet and still they find money to feed illegals. They want to make it seem as though they're just undocumented. These people are fleeing their country and coming to our country and taking the resources. If my 14-year-old knows that this is a problem and she wants to move to Texas because they don't want them, then it's a real problem when the children are noticing that the Democrats have failed them and my 14-year-old wants to move to a Republican-led state.
Wow.
Now that's deep. That's deep. And that's very key and critical. When the youth, teenagers, and young adults, 18, 19, 20, 21, when they start waking up to the Democratic Party foolishness, that they don't care about you, they simply use your votes to push their agendas that have nothing to do with you. When they start waking up to this madness, to this foolishness of the Democratic Party, that's when you'll seriously start to see some sort of change occurring. But until that, you're not going to see much change because by and large, as it pertains to older folks, you're not changing their minds for the most part. Some of them, yeah, but by and large, they're going to keep voting blue no matter who. This is why you see there's always so much emphasis on going to the church, right? Because that's where a lot of the older folks are. That's why you see Biden, he keeps going to Black churches in South Carolina. He's pandering to that older base, right? But when the youth start to wake up and when the youth start opening their eyes, which I believe that this migrant crisis seems to be doing that. A lot of people are starting to see, a lot of vote blue no matter who are starting to wake up and go, well, wait a minute. Where was all this money for us when we needed it? And for resources in our community when we needed it? You said you didn't have it. But now that Biden's migrants are here, you got plenty for them. Now that his migrants are here, you got millions for them. But Chicago citizens have to wait. The youth waking up to that is key and critical. And that's what it appears is going on in Chicago right now. And I hope that is the case. I hope that's true. And with that, that does it for today's news. We'll keep an eye on what's going on in Chicago, as I've been doing for over a year now at this point, and to see how things are progressing. And until then, I will see you guys next time. So on your way out, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video out on your social media platforms, and follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link is in the description box below, as well as pinned in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.